Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for Thursday, December 4, 2025. And in the news this afternoon, local builders call for long-term housing solutions in wake of Melissa. Three of Jamaica's leading construction and engineering bodies are calling for the government to focus on permanent hurricane-resilient housing in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. The Incorporated Master Builders Association of Jamaica, the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, and the Jamaican Institute of Architects say temporary shipping containers should only be used for emergency relief, not long-term housing. In a joint statement, the groups stressed that block and steel reinforced concrete and engineered timber homes are essential for long-term recovery, pointing out that professionally built homes withstand hurricanes far better than makeshift structures. Last month, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced that the National Housing Trust would purchase 5,000 foldable container units, some to sell and some for social housing. While containers provide rapid relief, the Prime Minister said the long-term focus will remain on safe, resilient communities. The professional groups emphasized the importance of local expertise, strict enforcement of the building code, and affordable starter homes in rebuilding efforts. They say Jamaica's recovery must prioritize strong climate-resilient housing to protect lives and communities from future storms. Teen charged with housebreaking. Detectives assigned to the St. Catherine South Police Division have charged a 14-year-old boy with housebreaking and larceny following an incident in Greater Portmore, St. Catherine on November 24. Reports from the Portmore police are that about 8 a.m., a woman securely locked her house and left her for work. The boy and his accomplices reportedly climbed onto the roof of the house, pried open the kitchen window, entered the house, and stole an assortment of liquor and a cell phone valued at approximately $100,000. A report of the incident was later made to the police, and the CCTV footage obtained from the premises implicated the child. The child was subsequently handed over to the police by his guardian. He was later charged following a question and answer session in the presence of his attorney. His court date is being arranged. JPS customers affected by Hurricane Melissa will be billed fairly. The Office of Utilities Regulations is being pressed to guarantee zero-rated bills for zero electricity use following the passage of Hurricane Melissa. During the morning session of the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee on Wednesday, Member of Parliament for St. James Southern, Nikisha Burchell, called for the OUR to provide a confirmation that Jamaica Public Service customers with zero power consumption since October 28, when Melissa hit, will receive a zero-rated bill. More than a month after the Category 5 storm, roughly 80% of the hardest-hit parishes, namely St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney, remain without power, with the restoration timeline extending up to May 2026. In response to Ms. Burchell's request, OUR Director General Answorth Hewitt gave a direct assurance that customers will not be billed unfairly.
The OUR can offer that assurance that we will in fact verify that customers are not charged where there is zero consumption. I know the chairman made reference to the service charge, and we're in discussion because that is not as cut and dried as, so we're in discussion with JPS about that as well.
Ms. Burchell questioned why there were persistent reports of customers receiving estimated bills even after GPS implemented its smart meter system earlier this year. However, Consumer Affairs Policy Specialist at the OUR, Colette Good, explained that telecommunication gaps also largely affected the billing process.
That technology depends also on the telecommunications network. So where those networks are down, it would prevent JPS from getting those meter readings. It may not be the only reason. In instances where they are not able to get the reading remotely, they would usually send out their meter readers, but of course there would now be access issues. Based on the guaranteed service standards that we have for JPS, they ought to use an average of the previous 3 actual readings. In the case of Melissa, they would have prorated the estimated consumption based on the number of days of loss of service.
Telecoms renew calls for stiffer penalties for vandals and thieves. Labeling the practice as a threat to national security, the country's 2 main telecommunications providers, Flow and Digicel, are urging legislators to enact stiffer penalties for individuals who vandalize and steal their equipment. For years, both Flow and Digicel have bemoaned the millions of dollars they have lost as a direct result of vandalism and theft, with the issue adding to the losses they have racked up due to Hurricane Melissa's wrath. Both companies have reported losing batteries, fuel and cables, as well as other items. Electricity provider, the Jamaica Public Service, has also not been spared. In a release on Tuesday, JPS revealed that efforts to restore electricity to customers in St. Anne have been significantly set back by the theft and the vandalism of wires from its power delivery network on Sunday. Sunday's incident came less than 1 week after a newly planted utility pole in Bonham Spring in the parish was deliberately cut at its base, resulting in customers whose service had been restored losing electricity. Now Flow and the Digicel are complaining that even as they fight to restore thousands of customers with the service, their efforts are being thwarted by vandals and thieves. Addressing yesterday's sitting of Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, Stephen Price, Flow Jamaica Vice President and the General Manager, called for stiffer penalties. Vandalism is a real problem, and yes, there has been success with arrest and court cases, but it remains a challenge. We have diesel oil, batteries stolen from site, cables are being cut. When JPS poles are chopped down, that impacts us as well. We have to bring it to the level of state terrorism. It is an attack on the state, Price said. The need to assign a terrorism label to the vandalism and the theft of telecommunications infrastructure is a position long held and voiced by Price, who has previously argued that an act of vandalism of telecoms infrastructure could be prosecuted under the Terrorism Prevention Act with a penalty of life imprisonment. Imagine a situation where people can't contact the police or fire in an emergency. So whatever we have to use, whatever mechanism for Parliament to act on that with urgency, so we see stiffer penalties and longer terms. Under Section 29 of the Malicious Injuries to Property Act, the punishment imposed would be on indictment, imprisonment for up to, but not in excess of 2 years, with or without hard labor, or summarily, imprisonment up to, but not in excess of 3 months, with or without hard labor, or a fine of $4,000. The island's 2 major telecommunications firms may be competitors, chasing the same market share, but yesterday they were at one accord, as Price's call was shared by Stephen Marad, Digicel Group's Chief Executive Officer. There is no way we can allow the mindless minority to stop people getting what they need. My job is not to legislate, but imagine you get restored and then 5 minutes, or however number of minutes or hours that is taken down, and then our customers question what we are doing. And I am not saying this because we are looking for sympathy. We need a greater deterrence. This is a threat to national security. The companies noted that, amid their appeal for legislative action, they are implementing their own measures to better protect their resources, but would not disclose those measures publicly. Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.